Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the What's New Mama podcast. We are your hosts, Giselle and Amy. You'll hear a couple of sniffles. We're still fighting through whatever colds. It's the season. It is what it is. But we are back today. If you're watching us, we're very 90s retro. We threw it back to like middle school hairstyles today. Amy has what my mom and my aunts would call las antenas. Las antenas,
you know
like
what?
in
I
the
used
front.
to put little butterfly clips, like those little ones right
clips.
here.
I swear it's gonna come back. It's all gonna come back. I should have saved all my stuff.
Yeah.
But we both have the half up, half down hair because you know what it means. It means our hair is dirty and we don't feel like
it's coming up.
Wash day is coming up. Yeah, exactly. But anyway, today we have an interesting topic. It isn't necessarily a parenting topic, but I feel like it bleeds into it because it's about our relationship, right, with our partner. And so today's topic is having, and we're trying to figure out the wording for it, right? Because if this were, a couple of decades ago, you could easily say, hey, having friends of the opposite sex is a title, but we feel to be more inclusive and just, we don't want to offend anybody. We would just say friends of the opposite gender.
And even then, I'm still like,
and even then, there's another level too, because friends of the opposite gender, but that are, I guess, would be attracted to whatever your spouse's gender is, right?
Yeah, I know.
Ooh, that's gonna be a mouthful. How do we put that in a title?
I just put gender.
But you guys get it.
I was like, I'm not sure if this is correct, but
you guys get it. You guys get it. Listen, we're not here to try and offend and upset anybody. We're just here trying to have a conversation, have a therapy session, and share it with you guys. But no, okay. So, in a nutshell, how do we navigate, and what does that conversation look like when we have friends of the opposite gender, and how does that run through with our spouse and our partner, right? So Amy and I decided we were going to talk to our partners this week, right? So my husband, Tom, Amy's husband, Vic, and we were like, hey, like, what do you think about this? I already know Tom's stance on it, but I just wanted to clarify because we haven't had that conversation in a while, right? But I know you guys probably never really had that conversation, right?
I mean,
or it's never come up.
Yeah, yes, it has.
Okay.
But I was telling you before we started recording that you were like, hold that thought. I told Vic, I was like, this is the topic we're going to talk about. And, Giselle wanted me to discuss it with you because, it does involve you, and it's true. And he's like, oh man, your listeners just want to hear how crazy you guys are with your, with the relationship. And I'm like, yeah, I don't know. Like they want to stir up the pot or some shit. Like, why do they want to know this stuff? And I'm like,
well, it's me. It's Giselle. It's me.
You're like, not the listeners. It's me.
No. Seriously though, somebody did bring it up and I was like, no, it is a good way to.
No, seriously. They want to see how crazy we are. Like, they already see, like, I'm very loose with it. So they're probably like, this girl is insane.
I think it will surprise everyone. So, okay, so that's what Vic said. So do you want to dive right into it since you...
Yeah, I mean, okay. So I asked him because he had a couple of friends that predated our relationship. So I think that's important
that
to
were
put into
heterosexual
account.
women.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. And to be honest with you, I didn't like them. But it's not up to me. It's not up to, because I felt like they
had other intentions.
Yeah, they had other intentions.
Ulterior motives.
It was like, it just doesn't make me feel comfortable. And he knew this. And I told him, like when we got serious, I was like, I don't like such and such person. Like, that's not, I just don't. And then I don't expect you to, I don't expect to like them. Like, they're not my friend. So I think that's what I had clear from the beginning.
Okay.
They're not my friends. So
basically don't try to put us in the same room.
Yeah.
In an intimate setting and have us chill.
yeah, like don't expect me to be like, oh hey, let's go grab drinks or let's hang out one on one or
Oh,
anything like
yeah,
that,
yeah.
because it's just not like. And we were like totally different people. Like she was
Okay.
very I don't want to give too much away because she'll know.
He's listening. She may not listen. But
um
describe,
I
like,
don't know because he does speak to her maybe once a year, like
okay.
through email. They
Okay.
catch up. So I don't know if he's
Damn,
like,
email.
oh yeah,
That's
email.
like not
So
phone call, not text,
so the
email.
reason why he does email, well, he's notoriously terrible at like
Yeah,
he
yeah.
doesn't like talking on the phone.
That's why
He's
we all text you to try and get in touch with
he's
Vic.
really bad with messages. And he's just, I think from what I expressed to him that I was uncomfortable, he kind of like started pushing her a little
Okay.
bit, like, all right, no, I have to set my
Yeah.
priorities to my girlfriend at the time.
Right.
I think the best
How
thing.
question, how early on in the relationship was this conversation had? Because
I'm trying to think if it was like really early
because that's good to know, right? So,
Mhm,
I know people, and this also, I was listening to it on another thing. It's
mhm,
somebody was in a relationship for 6 years and kept
mhm.
telling their partner they were not comfortable with this person, and they were
You
like,
shouldn't have
"Oh,
to repeat
you're just,"
yourself.
and that was what Tom and I were talking about. Yeah, go
Hmm.
ahead. So,
Oh,
all
okay,
right.
all
So,
right.
when was it? Early on?
I
Was
think it
it
was early on. I believe it was early on. I don't remember exactly if it was like a year in,
okay?
but I think it was good because it made it. I got my feelings out there, and it like made me like whatever feel better,
Right.
because if you keep it to yourself
Oh,
and
yeah.
are not proactive, I think, of how you feel, it becomes a reactive situation.
Yeah. It's gonna affect
Like
you
it's gonna be
guys.
like later on, like he'll say, let's say for example, they went to grab drinks or something in a group, and you're uncomfortable with her being there, and you weren't there. You're gonna
Yeah.
be like, well, what did she
Yeah.
say or what did she do? Like your mind's
Yeah.
gonna be thinking things, and you don't want
Yeah.
that,
Right.
because then that just causes like distrust between you and your partner. So I made sure that I said things like straight up, because
Early
I
on.
just learned that from previous relationships.
Yeah.
And I think what sealed the deal was that he made her go with him to buy me a promise ring. So
Oh,
I
wow.
think, I think it was more than clear his intentions with me, and that made it clear to her. If there was anything there from her side, that shut it
Okay.
down.
So,
So I got lucky with that.
okay. So then my question to you is,
Hmm.
and this comes from like even conversations I've had with Tom,
Hmm.
was there anything in particular that she did, said, or that he told you about their friendship and their relationship that made you feel uncomfortable? Or is it just a vibe thing where
Yeah,
it's
it was
like,
a vibe.
I feel something.
It was a vibe. It was
Okay.
a vibe. Just the way she looked at him sometimes, like,
You could
whatever.
tell a lot in
And
the
I was
look.
just like,
Yeah.
hey, like, all right, that's like and I don't know if you know this about your brother, but he is clueless. Like
Yeah. No.
clueless when it comes to women.
Like, what do you
Clueless.
mean?
Like
Yeah.
he had no idea that I liked
I
him.
think that's a
He doesn't
Mateo
pick up
thing. I think.
he doesn't pick it up, but like I was there and I was just like, wow, oh, okay. I picked up on this vibe. I was just like from her, and I was like,
Yeah.
oh,
It's a
okay.
Mateo male thing.
Hmm.
'Cause, yeah. Like, I think Ramel's the same way. So, like, they just think of it as like, what do you mean? We're just
Yeah, they
friends.
had no
Like,
idea. Yeah, because
yeah.
they see it as friends, but
Mm-hmm.
you pick something else up.
Yeah.
It's just whatever. I just know
Like, you
that's
see
how he
the
is.
twinkle of hope in the
Uh huh.
stares
Mhm.
from the other
Mhm.
person.
Mhm. Mhm.
Okay. So then
Yeah.
that was that beginning conversation.
Yeah.
But now, I mean, it's what, 12 years in, right?
12 years
So
in now, like I was telling you,
people have entered at some
it's
point and
because he doesn't. His friends, like he has like maybe one or two that he's very close with. That's it, but they're all
mhm,
male. Because I told you he works in construction, so he
yeah,
doesn't
it's a
like.
male
There's
dominated
not
industry.
a lot of that. It was
You were
actually
the
the
exception.
opposite. It was the opposite. Yeah, it was the opposite for me. So for me, I'm the one who had a lot of male friends and
Hmm.
male coworkers, because I
Hmm.
was the only like female in most of the in the groups, and I
Right.
still have friends. Like I have like a group chat with
Okay.
friends that I used to work with, that well,
Okay.
coworkers that became
They
friends.
became friends. Yeah.
So shout out to Tyrell and Guy.
Oh,
they're
I've
on
heard those names before. Yes.
they're on our group chat. But like with Victor, he never really said anything like, with those guys, like he knows them, and
Right.
he knows that I text them. We text in a group, and there's two other women in our group from Lend-Lease where I used to work. Uh, and he knows, like he knows that I'm always texting them. I always show him, like, hey, look what he
Okay.
just sent. Like, look at his, they're both
But you
in
show him
in
because obviously they know each other and it's funny or
hmm
whatever it is, not
and
out
they're
of
like
like you feel that you have to
yeah,
show him.
and they're in committed relationships, both of them, and
Okay.
they're both they have children. So like I'm like, oh, check out their look what he just sent
He
me, and
doesn't feel a threat.
mm-mm,
Yeah.
mm-mm, mm-mm. And I also have individual like text threads with them or whatever. Like
Yeah.
it's
Okay.
not he doesn't say
So,
anything or do anything. Like it's just like he trusts me, which is
yeah.
so it's different. Like for me, it was like, hey, wake up.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But obviously you trusted him, but
hmm
still you
hmm
just felt like,
hmm
no, like
hmm
we don't need this type of
hmm
tension or
And like I
unnecessary
was,
uncomfortableness.
yeah, and I was pretty straightforward. Like I don't want, like I don't want to see them touching you. Like I don't care, like what it is. Like, but the thing is for me that I find people feel like that's controlling. Some people feel that that would be controlling.
Yeah.
But I don't think that's not controlling. That's just letting you know I feel uncomfortable if a woman comes up to you and touches you like that,
Touches in what way?
like puts her hand on your shoulder or your hand or touches your
What about a
arm
hug? A
because
greeting?
well, that's different. That's saying
Okay.
hello. But if you're lingering or touching, I'm watching. I'm telling
Like if you're leaning on him,
I will
like
be watching you like a fucking hawk. Okay, I'm gonna tell you that right now. But I've had like seen like they stay on your arm like rubbing it. Why are you touching him like that? Like so
oh no, yeah,
you
no,
don't
that's
do that
weird.
like that, or it's like
Yeah.
it's like I don't know because
Yeah.
you know how women flirt, right?
Mm-hmm.
You
They do
touch,
that.
yeah, you no, I don't no, that's not. So I've made it clear like that's not there's boundaries that I find that are okay and there's some that are not, and that's
Right.
touching a thing for me. You don't do
Okay.
that, especially
So
if you
that
know
was
if
like a
he's
clear.
with me and if I'm
Yeah.
there, especially.
Okay.
I'm like, don't do that. That's not funny.
But it's also like making sure it
hmm
doesn't happen when you're not there, and the fact that he
hmm
respects that
hmm
because he knows it's
hmm
uncomfortable. Like you made a clear boundary,
hmm
and he agreed. Like, hey, if that makes you feel uncomfortable, your priority, our relationship is a priority. I respect you. I respect us.
hmm
I'm not gonna allow it to happen, even if you're not in the room.
So he's giving
And that
people
is the
pounds
nice
and,
response.
and shaking hands now. Like he'll throw his hand out.
Yeah.
But that's funny because I had a guy that I used to work with, and I used to hate this. I used to throw my hand out to shake his hand.
He would hug.
He would grab me and pull me in to hug me, and I
Oh,
pulled him one day, like
yeah.
I just
Pushed him
like
back.
pushed him
Yeah.
back, and he was like, I was like, I don't like that, and I told him straight up, I was like, you
Yeah.
make me feel uncomfortable.
Yeah.
I work with you. It was like some old dude.
Yeah. That's creepy.
So, but yeah, so Vic goes around giving people
Pounds.
pounds or
Yeah.
shaking hands. I think only one time it happened at a party. Um,
Mm-hmm.
a coworker, and she was really young,
Mm-hmm.
and she came over and she hugged him, but she was like kind of wasted. I might have said
Plastered. She was
not
like
even no.
drunk.
She was already kind of tipsy, and she went up and she like hugged him. And I remember I was like with his coworkers there, and he's friends with one of them, and he
You
just
saw
looked
red.
at
You were
me.
like,
No, this guy looked at me. We locked eyes, and
yeah,
he knew that was not the boundary to cross.
yeah.
He pulled her to the side, and he was like,
Oh,
"No,
wow.
you didn't see that. That's his wife. That's there."
Oh, you guys were married at that
Yeah,
point.
and
Okay.
she was like, "Oh, she disappeared. I didn't see her the rest of the night because I didn't have to say anything. The guy knew already. His friend knew
Yeah.
already. Like, oh,
Yeah, but I'm sure you had that look on your face
I
where,
must have had a look on my face.
yeah,
So
I
I'm
can
like,
already
what am I
imagine.
saying? What am I here? Like, you didn't see me?
Yeah, yeah. So, okay. So you have that clear
hmm
understanding with each other.
hmm
Now, let's say, has anybody popped up like through your friends group with you socializing with the kids, anybody at school, a dad there? Is there anybody that has popped up in your life?
hmm
Or, I mean, well, you already said in his life, he's kind of steady with his group.
hmm
With you, where he's like, hey, listen, I don't feel comfortable with you hanging out with so and so or anything like that. Or has that ever
No.
happened?
Uh-uh.
No.
No. I mean, like I think I'm pretty straightforward with like my friends. They
Mm-hmm.
know I have a couple of friends. I have a good friend from college, and he pops up once in a while like, "Oh, hey, what's up? How you doing?" And it's a very, I don't want to say generic, but it's like, "Hi, how you doing?" We catch up with our families and stuff, but it's like
Yeah.
I never cross that boundary. I don't ask you personal questions about your wife
Yeah.
or your girlfriends or your sex life or anything like that, because I
Yeah. Yeah.
think I have my girlfriends for that. Like we that's that is
Yeah.
different,
Yeah.
Um with a guy, I don't cross that boundary, because I think once you cross that, it's like it gives them realm to get into your business, and
Yeah.
that's something that I think you don't allow.
And
That's
to
like
talk about things
a
that
hard
are very
boundary. That's
personal.
Yes, that's a hard boundary. Like
Yeah.
you don't cross that, because once that's done, it allows for you know different
Yeah.
things to
Because it
happen.
can also turn into the emotional cheating of
Hmm.
it, because it's
Hmm.
not necessarily physical,
Hmm.
right? Which
Yeah.
then that's a different topic, but
Hmm.
that would be because then you get into the personal talks of, how you feel and what's going on. And, sometimes, I mean, I'm a big believer in you keep your relationship dynamic unless it's like a serious thing that you guys are going through, right? Like if it's physical abuse or
Hmm.
anything like that. I feel like if you have a disagreement or something like that, I'm not gonna go to somebody else and bash Tom, right? Like, oh,
Hmm.
this asshole, blah blah blah, whatever.
Yeah.
And if I do, it's like in a joking way,
Hmm.
like not ever in a serious manner. So I feel like, yeah, there's certain boundaries and certain conversations and topics that you don't want to
Hmm.
engage in, even if it's a
Hmm.
friendly thing. I have friends from all over. I've worked in so many different places.
Hmm.
So Tom is, well, no, go ahead. Let's go. Let's
What
continue
happened?
with yours, and then we'll go into mine because I don't want
Oh,
to cut you off.
okay. And
um,
then
but yeah, no. So you set boundaries
yes,
on the type of
boundaries.
topics that you talk about,
Hmm.
even with Guy and that. What was the other person's name?
Tyrell.
Yeah, like you don't talk about like, hey, are you guys having another baby?
Yeah,
In
no,
in
they
like,
asked me, but that's different because
okay,
we're in like it's a group chat though. Like
okay,
there's other women on there like Liz and Martha.
okay,
And
okay,
then
okay.
everybody just chimes in, and we're always roasting each other. But that's like a different type
That's
of,
a different thing, yeah.
yeah. I don't know. We're just we're a weird group.
But no, but it makes sense. You guys have that bond, that trust, and you guys all know each
Hmm.
other. That's
Hmm.
different. But if it were a coworker or somebody that Vic didn't know and
Hmm.
didn't know him personally, it was just your friend,
Hmm.
right? Like that's a
Hmm.
little different, I think, where
Hmm.
you're engaging in that conversation. Like I've had coworkers that I'm not cool with like that kind of
Hmm.
say, "Oh, it's what's the fun part about having kids? It's the process of it." Like
Uh
making,
huh.
and I was like, that's a inappropriate comment to kind of
Hmm.
make,
Hmm.
especially
Hmm.
because we're not cool like that, you know.
Hmm. Hmm.
Um,
Oh, I've
so
had
yeah, that's what I,
countless of those.
yeah. So then that brings me to the other question, right?
Hmm.
So let's say Vic is obviously very comfortable and there's trust between you guys, which is the most important part, and that's why it works.
Hmm.
What if there was somebody that he felt, or he popped up with that scenario, right? Like
Hmm.
the same way that you reverse the roles.
Hmm.
Where he's like, listen, it's not anything particular this person did. I just get a weird vibe from this person.
Hmm.
And what would your response be? And you're like, you're like, oh, really? So and so? You think
Hmm.
so? Like,
It's like,
what would your response be?
I guess my question would be, what do you want me to do? Like, do you want me to stop talking to them? Do you want me to distance myself? Or like, but there's ways of doing that with a person too. Like, you don't
Mm-hmm.
have to, because sometimes it's like coworkers would be hard to distance from, because if you
Yeah.
have to interact with them, but
You see them every
you can
day.
strictly
Yeah.
keep it like, hi, good
Yeah.
morning, how are you? And that's it. You don't have to go out of your way to hang out with the person, or if you know the person's going to a certain thing, you don't have to go.
Right.
Or
Right.
just like keep your distance kind of situation
Right.
if it makes your partner uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And always keep them in mind, like, hey, we're going to, because they used to always do this at my old job. Like we used to go out to the bars and drink after work after
Yeah.
finishing a big like segment
Project.
of
Yeah.
our project. So we used to be like, oh hey, so and so, and I used to be like, hey, I'm going out like with this is who's there, and then he would come and pick me up. He'd come all the
Yeah.
way inside to pick me up,
Yeah.
so he would
Okay.
see everyone,
Yeah.
and everyone would be like,
Yeah.
oh hey hey hey, and that's it. Like
Yeah.
everyone knew, and that's
So
how we used
you
to do it.
So you would just ask him like, well, what do you want from me?
Yeah,
Like
what do
you're
you
willing to do
to
whatever it
make
is
you
to make him feel
yeah.
comfortable.
And I think
Okay.
that's how it should be. It's not a controlling thing. It's just he's expressing how he feels, right?
Yeah.
I th-
There
because I
should
know
be
a lot of people are
respect.
like, well, that's controlling you. No, it's not.
No,
He's
there's
expressing his
mutual
concern.
respect,
Yeah.
and there's there's two things, and this is what Tom and I talk about all the time.
Mhm.
There's respect for yourself.
Mhm.
Then there's three things: respect for your partner, and there's respect for your relationship and your bond.
Mhm.
So if you know that your partner feels uncomfortable for whatever
Mhm.
reason, and you're like, okay, like what do you need me to do? I think it's our responsibility as your partner comes to you with these concerns
Mhm.
to find a common ground or a compromise
Mhm.
somehow.
Yes.
Like setting boundaries, right? So like
Mhm.
you're not necessarily cutting the I was gonna say the customer off. You're not cutting the the friend off or
Yeah,
the
the friend of
coworker
yeah.
off.
Mhm.
You are setting boundaries like, hey, maybe 11 p.m. texts are not appropriate. Maybe 11
Mhm.
p.m. calls are not appropriate.
Yeah, no.
Things like that, right? you
Yeah.
know um those are the type of things that I'm talking about, and I don't think that's a
Mhm.
control issue. I think that's a respect issue.
Mhm.
And I think that if you have trust and you have that type of understanding, I think that's how that's going to work.
Mhm.
Now, Tom, can I am I
Yeah, go ahead.
gonna
You're good.
okay. So we always like, he's like, oh, Giselle, you already know, he's like, I don't have girlfriends, I don't have friends that are female. And then I laughed because what he said was, he's like, because you would flip shit. You would flip out, you would not like it. And
Mhm.
I was like, you're right, I would not like it. And it's not a trust issue, right? Like I
Mhm.
trust him.
Mhm.
It's like how you said how that girl was looking at him, at Vic, and all that stuff. It's just certain things that I'm like, I don't want to have to deal with that. And I
Mhm.
don't want to be the crazy girlfriend or the crazy wife, whatever, quote unquote.
Mhm. Mhm.
I just don't want to deal with drama. I don't like drama. I don't like I worked really hard to have a
Mhm.
peaceful life and have a peaceful relationship where I just don't need outside factors contributing to that. And that goes both
Mhm.
ways, right? So if somebody crosses the line, or I have a lot of male friends because I worked in retail. So my career over 12 years has been retail. You literally spent all day with these people dealing with crazy customers that are
Mhm.
flipping you out, that are like throwing things. Like you've gone through the gauntlet with these people, right? You've met different partners of theirs. You've spoken about all this stuff, right? You've had rough days. You've cried with these people, like
Mhm.
whatever.
Mhm.
So there are people that like I'm still friends with from the places that I worked, and he knows them. And when we lived in California, there were times that I came here to visit.
Mhm.
And so I came back to New York to visit, and I was like, hey, like I'm hanging out with so and so, and it was a male coworker. He was like, yeah, that's fine. But like I'll
Mhm.
tell him, and I'm
Mhm.
not seeking, it's not like a permission thing, right? Like how you said, like a control thing. It's,
Mhm.
I want him to know I don't want to hide things from him.
Yeah. You want to
And
be
I also
proactive
know,
in your relationship. Yeah.
yeah, and I
Mhm.
also know that he trusts me.
Mhm.
Like he knows that I, out of from, especially given just like my experience as a kid growing up, like I wouldn't do anything to ruin my family, my home, or any of that
Mhm.
stuff, right? So he was like, yeah. I was like, you sure you're okay with it? Like I'm more questioning for
Mhm.
him, like, you sure you're okay with it?
Mhm.
Like, because I sure as hell would not be.
Yeah.
No, but he's like, you better say on this episode when we were talking about, he's like, you better tell him you're a hypocrite, because he's like, I want to hear it through the door. I want to hear you say I'm a hypocrite, because I would not want Tom to have female friends. But no, he understands that and he
But
trusts it.
that's
And
okay.
there,
You told him that you're not comfortable with him
yeah,
having female friends, and that's fine. And
yeah,
it's up to
yeah,
him whether or not he wants to
right.
abide by what you said.
And like I felt bad when he said that yesterday when we were
Mm-hmm.
talking about it. He's like, "Yeah, I don't have female friends because you don't like that." And I was like,
Mm-hmm.
"Oh, well, I don't want to feel like I'm holding you back." But at the same time, and I told him, I was like, "You don't have female friends. Like that's the bottom line."
Mm-hmm.
So that brings me to my next point, where
Mm-hmm.
it would be weird if he
Mm-hmm.
all of a sudden had a female friend,
Mm-hmm.
because I know all of his friends. They're his brothers, you know,
Mm-hmm.
and the wives that are it, like we're all a family, right?
Mm-hmm.
If I hear Sharon, like,
Mm-hmm.
you know, another name, I know that's your sister's name,
I
but
know she's
that's
probably
probably
looking
like,
at this like,
that's right,
what?
not Sharon, Elizabeth, I don't know, some name that I've never heard
Mm-hmm.
before.
Mm-hmm.
And be like, well, who's that? Like,
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know who this person was, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And like, I'd get a tinge of like jealousy.
Yeah, but
And
that's
like,
natural.
but I'd be like, who is this? I've never heard this name
Mm-hmm.
in
Mm-hmm.
6 years, you know?
Mm-hmm.
I've never heard this name come across your circle before. But then we talk about it, obviously. But it would just be weird. And also, Tom hates people. Like, that's the other thing I told him. I was like, you hate everyone. Like, no, he's a friendly guy. But he's really big into his circle.
Mm-hmm.
He's all about, like, not no new friends type of thing. Like, he's
Mm-hmm.
very old school. And he does have new friends in the sense that these are my cousin's husband. You know, when like we'll hang out, he'll hang out with Vic, like things like that.
Mm-hmm.
But that's because he's kind of forced into the situation.
Mm-hmm.
But he'll go out his way if like they get along. Like he'll make plans with my cousin's
Okay.
husband. Like, hey,
Mm-hmm.
you want to go drink? Blah blah blah. But what I mean when I say that he hates people is he doesn't go out his way to socialize,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like that.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
I'm a social
Mm-hmm.
person. So like I'm very friendly. I'm a hugger.
Mm-hmm.
Which is another topic because I know some guys might misconstrue my friendliness as something
Yes.
else,
Yes.
you know, and that's something that I think women specifically have a problem
Yeah.
with.
Mm-hmm.
Not that we're doing anything wrong, let me correct that, meaning it gets misconstrued by society's
Yes. Yeah.
standards and specifically men.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just a friendly person by nature, and I don't feel like I should change my friendly demeanor because I don't want somebody to get the wrong idea.
Yeah.
I'm not going to be flirting with you. I'm not
Mm-hmm.
going to be like, oh my God, like, you
Yeah.
know, I'm not doing that. But I am very friendly where
Mm-hmm.
I feel I'm very, like, if you come to me with something, I'm very engaging. I genuinely care, and I
Mm-hmm.
try to really show empathy for people, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I have had some people that have misconstrued that, and I've had to have the conversation like, hey, like, I'm flattered, but you know,
No.
I was just being
But
nice.
no.
I'm just being nice. Like,
Yeah.
that's just who I am. And so then that brings us to the next point of what Tom and I were talking about. He's like, I trust you. He's like, I'll come back from, like, whenever I go into the city without him, like, I'll tell him, I was like, oh, so-and-so, like, I got hit on, or somebody gave me their card, or whatever it is. But like, I was like, oh, I'm married, and like, you know, I'm flattered, but no, thank you. Like, I appreciate it though. It is flattering, of course, but I just say like, you know, no, thank you. They're like, most of the time, they're very, oh, like, I'm so sorry. Like, you know, I didn't see your ring, or, you know, whatever.
Oh man,
And
I just thought of something funny.
yeah, see, I'm sure you have these scenarios. And like, I'll come back and like, you know, if it comes up, I'll tell Tom, whatever, and we'll laugh about it. But there have been times where some men are inappropriate and they're just like, oh, we could be friends. It's like, no, because I know your motive now.
Yeah.
And that's what we were talking about yesterday when I have plenty of friends that are male, but if I know that your motive is to try and sneak in there somehow and you have ill intentions or whatever it is, I now have a decision to make out of respect for me, my husband, and my family, that if I know your intention is to try and get with me, hook up, whatever it is, this can't continue. Like, even if we've been friends for years, you know, whatever it is, prior to Tom, and then I find this out, then we can't continue, you know? So that's where we stand on that. And I will say I have had the crazy jealousy moments. So I am guilty of that, which is why Tom was like, oh, you better let them know that you're a hypocrite. I do appreciate very much that he understands that boundary, which again, not a controlling thing. But I told him, I was like, I've grown a lot since the beginning of our relationship to now, right? I obviously came with trust issues and a couple of other things, and we worked through that together. I did a lot of inner work too. So in the very beginning, like, we met and then we moved to California together, like crazy people, but we moved to California together without living together first here. And not even a year together, we moved out there. So we moved out there, and I remember he had like a work trip or something, and he was in Florida.
Mm-hmm.
So I was there by myself, and then he was in Florida. And I remember he sent me a picture. They were in Disney. I think they were in Animal Kingdom.
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty sure if he didn't have the baby, he would barge in here and say, "Yeah, we were in Animal Kingdom, and you ruined that trip for me."
Oh no!
Because he sent me a picture, and I was like, "Oh," he was like, "Oh, I saw his coworker Greg, and then a female in the picture. In the background, it was just them three, and it was dark and like whatever." And I was like, "Who is that?" And he's like, "Oh, that's just so and so, you know, whatever." I'm not mentioning name just because whatever, but I know who it is now, and I felt so stupid. Like I feel so stupid that I made such a big deal out of it before.
To ask because you
But
didn't know, right?
Asking is fine. But I caused a fight. That's where my issue was. But again, it was very early on, and like I learned from those things. But like I legit caused an unnecessary fight. Right now he's probably like, yes, that's right. That's right. But I did, because I was like, who's that? Like, and he's like, Giselle. He's like, it was one of the bosses. Like, she's married with kids, and like, not even. And he's like, and also, like, I'm not into, like, there's also I'm trying to put this in a nice way. It's like, basically, that's not my type, regardless. Okay, yeah. And I wouldn't do anything like that. I wouldn't disrespect you like that. And he's like, really? Her? Like, you would think. I was like, I don't care. All I see is a female figure, right? And I didn't know if there were going to be females there, whatever it is. And I thought it was a bigger group. And then he explained everything. He's like, yeah, after this, like, it was a big group outing. And then some people left, and then they decided to go to Animal Kingdom, whatever. And and then also I was like, out of all places that caused a big fight, they were going to Animal Kingdom, like, you know. But those are the type of things that I look back, and then I compare to now. I'm like, that's how much I've grown, and it's just a part of me says, "Oh, that was so unnecessary," but then a part of me is just like, that was necessary for me to realize how stupid that was. Like, not the questioning of it, but the reaction. It was coming from a place of my own insecurity, my own distrust. He never gave me a reason. He's never given me a reason to not trust him. So it was, and that was the thing that got him upset. That's why it turned into a big fight, because he's like, Giselle, I've never given you a reason to not trust me. And it hurts me and it bothers me that you would think that I would do something like that. I would never jeopardize what we have over, you know, like a good time, whatever it is, or an outside factor, right? And obviously it took me time to like digest it, and I had to commit to saying, you know what, you're right, I'm sorry, like, that's on me, I'm gonna work on that. And so that was our first year up until now. And like, when we go out, and when he goes out, like, a part of me is like, who's there? I don't have, but now I'm like, I don't have to know who's there. Like, it's nice that I know, but I don't have to, because I know there's nothing for me to worry about. And that's just the bottom line. Regardless of who comes to him with whatever intentions, I just know he's going to shut that down. Like, I know him, and it's similar to like how you said Vic will do a pound or whatever. He would instantly give them a dirty look on my behalf. like he would respond in that way, because he also looks at that. He says that behavior is disgusting. Those are the words that he uses. He's like, any woman or any person that would willingly, like, when they see a wedding band on somebody's hand and they go out of their way to try. He used other words, but I'm not going to use it because, you know,
to get their attention,
to get somebody's attention and have those type of behaviors. That's a disgusting person that I don't want in my like realm, my vicinity, right? And so I don't want to engage with. So I just know whoever it is, he's not gonna engage in that in any way at all. Then that leads me to the other part where he's like, Giselle, I know you're gonna get hit on wherever you go. Like, and I'm like, really? You think so? You think I'm like, you think I'm beautiful? And like he'll laugh. He's like, Giselle, come on. Like
Mm-hmm.
I just know. He says that he expects it,
Mm-hmm.
but he doesn't worry and he doesn't stress because he knows me and like he knows who I am. He's like, I
Mm-hmm.
just know you. He's like, if somebody were to do anything stupid, you'd either
Mm-hmm.
punch him in the face. Like if they
Mm-hmm.
were to try and touch me or
Mm-hmm.
whatever, like cross boundaries, like you would put them in their place basically.
Mm-hmm.
And it's true. I would.
Mm-hmm.
Um so I know we have that covered. But I just wanted to clarify that I wasn't always that understanding
Mm-hmm.
of certain things. I've had my moments.
Mm-hmm.
Um and I am definitely more jealous than he is. He doesn't get jealous,
Mm-hmm.
which I find very weird. I'm like, how is there a human being that doesn't get jealous? But he doesn't. Like he's just very big on like if, you know, if you were to cross a boundary or somebody that he cares about were to risk or allow temptation to risk something that they love and care about, then they just don't belong there. And he's very big. Like obviously it would hurt and all that stuff, but he is not gonna be the he's never gonna be the jealous type. The only time that he got jealous was when we were in Costa Rica in our honeymoon, and we talk
Mm-hmm.
about this too. The waiter was super like flirty and friendly, and he had to like legit like I saw him like, and I also that's when we found out we were pregnant, like
Mm-hmm.
that we were having a baby. So I felt I keep telling him I was like I don't think that it was really the waiter because
Mm-hmm.
everybody was friendly over there. It's just the nature of things.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was his like realization that there's a baby. I'm carrying a baby,
Mm-hmm.
and I think he was being overprotective.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's where that came from. And like even now he's like, nah, I just didn't like the way that he was being too sly with it or
Uh-huh.
whatever it was, you know. And I was like, I'm convinced that it was because I was pregnant
Mm-hmm.
and you
Mm-hmm.
know all of that. So he has friends, female friends, but one of them I would say, I did not plural, one, she's a lesbian and she identifies as a lesbian. So I told him, I was like, you know, I don't care if you. He's like, oh, you really wouldn't care, like, but if I would hang out with her, and I was like, no, that's
Mm-hmm.
fine, because I just know that she has no interest in you in that way.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So there is no stress for me
Mm-hmm.
to like, you know, or like when I hang out with male friends, like obviously he doesn't care, but if they identify as gay or whatever it is, like it's not a threat regardless. Like
Yeah.
I don't think that it would be an issue regardless of
Mm-hmm.
anything. Um, but he just doesn't have any female friends, so it never comes up.
Mm-hmm.
But if one of his friends brings over, like they have a party and all this stuff, there are female there. Like there are
Mm-hmm.
women there that are heterosexual that are, you know, probably looking at him, whatever. But again, I'm finally at a point that I'm just like, I don't have to stress it. I don't have to worry about it. I don't have to question it. And it is what it is.
Mm-hmm.
But I would say the right thing to do is similar to like what Vic and like what Thomas, have that conversation. If you're in a relationship, have that conversation with your partner. What makes them feel comfortable? What makes them feel uncomfortable?
Mm-hmm.
And if it comes up, I think the right thing to do, and this is how we live our lives and our relationship here in my household, is you compromise. And you,
Mm-hmm.
if your spouse or your partner says, I'm uncomfortable with so and so hanging out, or so and so, you better believe nobody's texting me, nobody's calling me past a certain time, because I think
Yeah.
that's rude and disrespectful. Also, I put
Mm-hmm.
my phone on do not disturb regardless.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, like at 10, it's like do not disturb and all that stuff. So I think that's how you can be proactive and how you can find a solution where you don't feel like you're compromising your friendships or your relationships with other people. Um, but I don't know. Some people like, what's the word? Dabbing in like, not temptation, but like they like the flirtation, the
Okay.
thrill
Okay.
of certain things. And I feel like if you have that, I think you have to kind of look inward and say, well, why do I need this
Mm-hmm.
validation? I guess I don't know. Maybe you have the conversation. Maybe your partner needs to give you that, or I don't know. I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah.
Do you
Yeah.
know what I'm trying
Yeah.
to
Yeah. Yeah. I
say?
know
Do
what
you know
you're
what I'm
trying to
trying to get
say.
at?
Yeah.
But I get it. Like it's different. It's not like posting a thirst trap on Instagram or something like.
Well, that's another thing. Is there
Okay.
any
Accounts or something?
like no a boundary where Tom is like, I don't like you posting those pictures of yourself?
No.
He doesn't ever say that. He would never say
I
that.
show him.
Okay.
I'm like, look at. So he didn't have social media early on, and then I told him you should get it because he's into graffiti and all these other things. So he'll look at that stuff. He made an account, so I was like, all right. So he's like, don't tell anybody I have an account, like, because I don't want people following me
Too
or whatever.
bad.
Then
Now
I'm gonna
everybody
get.
knows.
Well, they don't know don't
His
tell them the
handle.
name, right?
Yeah.
The handle. So we follow each other, obviously, and I'm like, did you see what I posted?
Everybody's gonna be going to go look.
So I was like, did you see what I posted? And if he didn't see it, I'll send it to him because he doesn't get on like that. He only gets on to look at like graffiti things and all that stuff, right?
Because I know there's some people who don't like that stuff. Like, don't, they think it's a respect thing also. Like, don't post.
I mean, I'm not posting a bikini picture in a little Kim pose. Like,
yeah.
The album cover. I mean?
Yeah.
And I only say that because we had that conversation once because I had a bikini on and I did that pose. And then
oh my God.
but we joke. That's the thing. Like, I think that's why we joke so much about certain things, and it works. But point is, I'm also not the type to constantly. I could post specific, explicit, not explicit. What's the word?
Thirst traps.
Thirst traps. There you go. Right. But I don't. I don't feel comfortable doing that. Me personally, not even with his opinion in it. Throwing his opinion in it, that's a doubling down into my discomfort anyway. So why would I want to do that? And I also don't need the this sounds terrible, but I don't care for the validation either. But I am proud of certain things. For example, I post my fitness pictures. I'm proud of the progress that I've made, especially postpartum. And I was looking at that yesterday. I was looking at a video of me working out a year ago and a photo of me a year ago. And I was like, wow, major progress. So those type of things I'll post. And at the end of the day, they're spandex attire. They're spandex shorts, leggings, and a sports bra or a tank top, whatever it is. It doesn't, unless I'm wearing a sweater and sweatpants, like you're going to see my figure, right? So, and like he knows, like I'm like, did you see what I posted? And then like he'll joke about it. He's like, hey guys, look at this new fitness fit. Like, and he'll joke about things.
Yeah.
Oh my God, where'd you get those leggings? Where'd you get, and that's the type of rapport that we have with that. But I tell him, I was like, if it were reversed, I wouldn't I wouldn't question it. Like, and if there have been times where people have commented or anything like that, like those are all friends from before, and it wasn't in an inappropriate way.
Yes.
Like, damn girl, like it was
like social media plays a large part in people's relationships now,
right?
Because people post pictures, and
boundaries,
like you just said, people will message you and be like, "Oh, damn!" Like say something inappropriate or comment inappropriate stuff, and then the other person sees it, and then here we go, and everybody's fighting, and I think it plays a big part.
But I think for me, because and obviously because of the things that I've posted, meaning I'm talking specifically about like my fitness pictures and things like that. And I've posted bikini pictures too, but I've also posted bikini pictures while I was pregnant, it's just, I don't look at it as like, oh, this is gonna get me a lot of
likes and
guys, whatever. I don't do it for that reason. And I think that when you look at my page, you look at what I've posted, and I've cleaned out my Instagram too. So the people that I have on there, I went from, over 2,000 people, whatever, to like, I think 400, 600. Those are all people that I know. Like, I've had some sort of interaction with you at some point in my life. And I also feel comfortable having you see my son and my family. So it's not somebody that's not going to know that I'm not fully committed to my family and my home and all that stuff. and it's not somebody that doesn't understand that if they were to comment something inappropriate, I think they would know very well that I would block them, let it be known like that's not okay, block them, and like end that. Because I feel like that's disrespectful. You're not just my family and my partner, but you're disrespecting me, because what's important to me is what you see there. Yes, there's fitness photos of me in fitness shorts that are spandex and leggings and whatever it is, but it's heavy on my family. It's heavy on the things that I care about. It's heavy. I mean, for a while, it was just about positivity and trying to push through, and, quotes and things that helped me push through tough times, So I think I don't have that problem per se, but I have had friends that had that problem where their husband was following accounts that the girls were like half naked, and the girls clearly had like an OnlyFans or, things like that, where it's like, where's the boundary? But if you're comfortable with that, then that's fine. Because I guess some people equate it to, I guess it's like watching porn or looking at, certain magazines, whatever it is. I mean, people don't look at magazines anymore, but you know what I mean. That's how old I am. Like, look at certain like back in the day, it was like for him, for FM, for him magazine or whatever, and Maxim. You remember those?
Yeah.
Where they would, like, Alyssa Milano would be like in a bikini and she would have like a whole centerfold and all that stuff. Carmen Electra, those were all like the hot girls from back in the day. But anyway, point is, if you have that comfort, that's fine. That's on you. But we don't do that. And like there are guys, like when I'm out with my girlfriends, like, well, like, damn, that guy's hot. Like, and he knows that. Like, we'll talk about it. And, and even when we see things on the TV or whatever, be like, that's a good looking guy. Like, look at that. You know? Or the other day, where were we? We were in Costco, and there was like a model for one of the products or something. I was like, man, she is beautiful. Like, very beautiful. And I was like, look. And then he's like, yeah, she's beautiful. She's He said it like twice. I was like, you said it twice, though. You're not allowed to say it twice. I can say it twice. You can't say it twice. But no, like, we laugh about it. But I'm like, no, she was very beautiful.
That's
like,
fun.
It was just, she stood out because it was like, I forget what the product was, but it was like, you should be on like an Estee Lauder campaign or something. I don't know. But how do you feel about that? Like, does Vic have social media?
No, he doesn't, that I know of. Okay. And if he did, he's only looking at watches. He's like a watch nerd. I don't know if you picked up on that, but he has like a collection of watches here at home. And it's like very expensive. He's always trading up to something different. So
that's a good investment. Watches are a good investment.
Yeah. I'm not going to put it out there, but he has some nice ones.
Yeah.
But, so he's into watches. That's all I see him looking at.
Yeah.
Phone. And that's another thing. Do you have access to Tom's phone?
Yeah.
Okay.
And
I know some people are not comfortable with sharing their phones and stuff.
My password. I have his password. It's like, there. You know how many times I'm with the baby, I'm doing something, I'm like, can you unlock my phone? Can you find blah 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 whatever? There's no.
I'm gonna tell you that I have your brother gives me his phone and he'll be like, oh, can you do text so and so while he's driving or whatever?
So yeah, he'll do that too.
And but I can't tell you what the password is. I have to ask him every time. Tell me what's your, because I am the worst with that stuff. I'm like, how do you unlock your phone? Like, just here, give it to me.
Like, that's how Tom is. He's like, what's the password again? I forget.
I'm really bad. I'm really bad.
How do you forget? It's been 6 years, almost 7. Like, how do you forget? But yeah, no, we don't. There's nothing to hide.
Yeah.
Like, and again, like, yeah, I'll get compliments on certain things, but there's nothing to hide. Like, I'm not here to try and test the waters. Like, I have no interest in that, and it's both ways. But yeah, he'll hand me his phone, like, hey, can you text? And I'll be like, what do you want me to say? Because I have to think in Tom's like tone of voice, like, yeah,
like,
so
the way he speaks.
He'll tell me,
yeah.
What's up, dude? Blah, blah, blah. And like, he'll tell me what to say, and I'll like text it. But yeah, no, we don't have any of that. And it's funny because he was telling me, because the algorithm clearly in his Instagram, he doesn't have the app, or maybe I think recently he just downloaded the app because he was
Mhm.
trying to just do the mobile. He's like, I don't want to download a stupid app just to look at
Mhm.
graffiti
Mhm.
things,
Mhm.
whatever.
Yeah. Sounds
He's
just
like,
like Vic.
the algorithm keeps trying to figure him out
Uh-huh.
because it's like, okay, you're clearly a man trying
Mhm.
to view things. So it'll throw him basketball things. He's like, I don't like basketball. It'll throw
Mhm.
him MMA things. He's like, I don't care for that.
Mhm.
It'll throw him like thirst traps, like
Mhm.
certain girls in bikinis. He's like, that shit is disgusting. Like,
Mhm.
I'm not looking at that. I just want graffiti. The algorithm should just give me graffiti things, you
Mhm.
know? And he's like, it's just so, why are you, like, he gets annoyed. He's like, why are they get like in the explore page? Why is it giving me this stuff? I don't understand.
Mhm.
I was like, because it doesn't know what it is that you're into. And he doesn't like anything ever. He doesn't save anything. So
Mhm.
it doesn't have much to work with.
Mhm.
Just, I guess, the length of time that he'll look at something and things that he'll open up. Like if I see some graffiti stuff or whatever,
Mhm.
I'll send it to him. But yeah, so he gets annoyed at that. So I don't think that he'll ever come across some random messages because he's not to be found like
Mhm. Mhm.
with
Mhm.
his searches and stuff, But I think that if he were to follow some, OnlyFans or whatever,
Mhm.
half naked woman on thing, that would be a conversation because that wouldn't make me comfortable,
Mhm. Yeah.
and those are the type of things that I have now had to learn how to navigate those conversations as
Mhm.
opposed to holding it in, not saying anything, and then being resentful and then causing a big fight and whatever. It's just tell them how you feel. And if they love you and if they care about you, they're going to respect your boundaries and they're going to understand.
Mhm. Yeah.
Like when we brought up the scenario that I told you somebody brought up to me of a friend that made them feel uncomfortable. They've been in a relationship for a couple of years.
Mhm.
And the person told the boyfriend that they were uncomfortable with this friendship. Right.
Okay.
And the boyfriend was just very like, oh, it's just so, it's
Dismissive.
just, it's just Karen.
Mhm.
Like
Well, that's
she's
just how
not,
she is.
that's just how she is. Like, it's not a big deal. But
Mhm.
when you get 1 a.m. phone calls, 2
Mhm.
a.m. texts, like all these things, it's a certain boundary that you're crossing,
Mhm.
especially if you're sleeping together in the same
Mhm.
bed. Your phone's going
Was
off, you're
he
waking.
responding at that
So, yeah,
time? Oh no. See, that's the
engaging in
problem.
that.
If he was, then no.
But that's the thing. And
Yeah.
so that person was just like, oh, like, I don't know if I should, you know, continue. And then the other part of it is that the boyfriend told the friend, so you make her uncomfortable.
No.
So then now there's tension
Yes.
because that person knows that she doesn't like the
Mhm.
relationship and the other
Mhm.
person in
Mhm.
that sense,
You never give
which
up
I
that
just feel like that
information.
was just
Yeah, you don't. You
you
never give up
just
that
threw
information.
your person under the bus,
Yeah, that's not.
you know? And I would understand if it's somebody that you just started dating,
Mhm.
right? That you have no real loyalty to
Mhm.
or like, length of like time with or whatever. If it's just somebody that you're hooking up with, whatever, right? But if it's somebody you've been with for years and they're telling you how they feel, they're being vulnerable, they're being open, and they're trusting you with their feelings,
Mhm.
then I think the response should have been, you feel uncomfortable? Okay, what can I do to make you feel
Yes.
comfortable about the
Mhm.
situation?
Mhm.
And find some sort of common ground with it.
Mhm.
Set
Mhm.
boundaries. Maybe don't have 1 a.m.,
Yeah.
11 p.m., 12 p.m., 12 a.m. Phone calls, texts,
And the way you start that is not by telling her, "Oh, my girlfriend feels uncomfortable." It's
No.
don't respond to the
No,
fucking
because
text
then
messages.
at that point, what you're saying is, oh, well, so and so doesn't, you're basically like, I'm not allowed to talk to
Yeah,
you. It's like,
you don't
no,
do that.
you should say, I don't want, I don't feel that this is appropriate.
Mhm.
And, that's it. Like,
Mhm. Oh, could
so
you
can we,
simply just could you not text me after 11?
yeah,
Because I'm not
like
gonna
set some sort
respond.
of
And
boundary.
if you
Yeah.
don't, just put like a freaking thing. You can what is
Do
it?
not disturb or
Yeah,
mute
do not
it.
disturb. Mute the
But
one
you can
person,
mute
right?
yeah. Yeah.
So there's so many ways around it now.
Yeah, but I think the important part is to send a clear message.
Mm-hmm.
Like, yes, you can do it, but then that person's still thinking it's okay
Mm-hmm.
to
So
like
what?
cross
They'll be
that boundary.
freaking texting. Then you're not getting a text message back. They'll get the point, unless you stupidly dance. Then you don't get the point, and that's fine. They get the point.
but yeah, so I think those type of situations.
But it is, and I'm just like thinking about it. Like, is the friend just like doesn't give a fuck? Like, what is it? Like, is she okay?
I
Now,
think
now
that
that
it's
she knows that it's a problem, right? Well, she can't sit there and be like, "Well, she's making me uncomfortable now with our like whatever."
I
Like,
think it's that that person feels they've been there before her,
mm-hmm.
so they have entitlement to.
No, see, that's where the problem lies.
But that's what I'm saying. So that's part of.
That's a problem.
Yeah.
So that's
So
the problem.
who gave her who gave her that entitlement? Who gave her that place? But then now, if you've been with somebody for 5
Mhm.
years,
Mhm.
right? That relationship trumps any other
Mhm.
relationship, because you've now said, this is the person that I want to build my future with, that I want to build a life with, right?
Mhm.
Even if you've had a friendship for 7-10 years,
Mhm.
on that end, you have to make adjustments.
Mhm.
Yes, accept somebody as they are. Yes, accept their friends and all that other stuff. But things do have to be adjusted
Mhm.
when you do come into a relationship with somebody,
Mhm.
right? I don't know. That's my.
And it's not like they're
That's
being
my.
forced to hang out with each other, because that's just something you don't do. You don't make
Yeah.
your friends hang out with your boyfriend, husband, partner,
Yeah.
because it's just simply, you can't force people to do that.
No.
Unless they
And
really do like each other for like some random
Yeah.
reason, like,
Yeah.
oh hey, they actually find themselves like
but
cool enough
then
to hang out.
that's not going to happen now, because that person knows that
Yeah, no,
they don't
that's what
like,
I'm saying.
you
I'm
know.
like, but I don't know. I think that's a problem. I would think that's a
Yeah.
problem. And right here, I would be like, either, I think
Would you do an ultimatum? Like,
I've already explained to you once, and you being, I mean, it'll be hard because if it's a long time relationship, but I would be like, pick, motherfucker.
yeah.
Pick. Because this is ridiculous. You can't put me in a tough spot because you went and opened your mouth thinking it was okay to share what I told you in confidence.
Yeah.
So, I don't know.
think that also probably says a lot about the individual. Maybe the individual likes the attention and likes that the thrill and
you
all
got
that
nothing
stuff.
to do with me. Bye.
Yeah. You have to, I think, come to terms with what kind of life and what kind of vibe are you trying to create, and what kind of energy are you trying to build in your home and in your relationship. Because it gets dicey.
He's already doing this stuff. It just starts getting
it snowballs
out of control a little bit. Yeah. Spiraling into something else. So,
do you think that exes can be friends and hang out?
No. I mean, I have my exes as friends on Facebook and Instagram. They see my pictures, but I don't hang out with them. And it doesn't go past happy birthday. If I know your birthday is a certain day, I'll say happy birthday. It doesn't go back. I've said happy birthday. He's told me happy birthday. I have like two exes. Yeah.
Yeah.
2 exes that follow me. But after that, you'll see it on like the pictures and stuff, and I'll tell him like, "Oh, hey, look, so and so said happy birthday."
Yeah.
And he thinks it's funny because I'm so cutthroat with other stuff. But I'm like, I don't talk to this person. Like, we only see each other's like thing, like how their family is evolving, which is funny.
Right.
And it's like it's weird to see like, oh wow, you do have a life outside of what happened with us. I think that's mostly the curiosity of why we became friends on like social media.
Okay.
Like, to see how you're doing.
I
don't think like with the 2 people that I'm friends with, I don't have any ill will with them because we were kids,
Yeah.
So
I think that's the important part. As long as there's no ill will and you didn't end it in a, like, sometimes you can end it in a bad way and then meet afterwards and talk about things. Actually, one of my exes and I did that, and we spoke about it afterwards, and we cleared the air on things like, no, I never cheated, and I never da-da-da.
Yes.
And we were cool. Like, I'm still friends with his mom on Facebook, you know? And, but I have some friends that are like, I don't even care if it ended bad. I want them to see how good I'm doing or whatever it is. I have some friends that think like that. And at one point I did think that way, but then a part of me is just like, no, I don't want you to know anything about my life if it ended bad. I don't want you to know anything about my life. I want it to be non-existent.
Mm-hmm.
I want to take the experience from it and learn from it,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't want you to know anything about me
Mm-hmm.
because it was just that toxic or that.
Mm-hmm.
But I had a lot of different experience than you, like when it comes to like you had good relationships, you had healthy
Mm-hmm.
relationships.
Yeah.
I didn't always have healthy relationships.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's the difference.
Yeah.
But yes, but so you've met with exes before and like
I've had to talk with one, and like we're cool after we
okay,
broke up or whatever, and like his mom actually passed away. I want to say maybe like 5 years ago or something. I was
oh,
already married to Vic, and he had married someone. So out of respect to that, I didn't show up to her funeral because I knew her.
gotcha,
Like, we were in a
yeah,
relationship. I sent my mom. I told her, and
oh
I was like, "You go and you send my condolences, and just
yeah,
tell him out of respect to his wife, I didn't want to
yeah,
show up.
right, right.
Whatever."
That
And
was
he was so
nice.
grateful, and he like sent me
Yeah,
a message like, "Oh, thanks or whatever." But that's that's how I kept the boundary. See, I
yeah,
didn't show up. I was the one gonna show
yeah,
up. That's kind of weird, I think.
yeah.
So I just sent my
That
mom
was a good
because he
call.
recognized her right away. He was like, "Oh my
Yeah,
god, I haven't seen you in a long time." But he started crying. He was upset, like obviously he lost his
of
mom.
course. Yeah,
So I think that was nice of me to keep the boundary.
yeah, yeah.
um, but yeah, we're cool. And then the other guy is just whatever. I just see him. He had like children with someone else, and it was like, wow, oh my god, these are your kids. It's just funny.
Because
It's just funny to
these are
see.
people that you know like young, like from when
Yeah,
you were a
I was like
kid.
16 with one, and like the other one was like 20. So yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, it's
it's
funny.
weird. I'm still friends with exes online,
Hmm.
but I don't think I've really. I don't have consistent like, hey, yeah, we're gonna hang out
Yeah,
for
no, never. I
whatever.
don't think that's
There's
appropriate. At least.
um, yeah, I don't. I've never really hung out with an ex. After being with Tom, I should say.
Hmm. Hmm.
Um, I have hung out with them before,
Hmm.
but kept it like friendly. But I
Hmm.
haven't hung out with them since being with Tom. And I asked him that question. I was like, "Would you?" Which I don't know if you asked Vic that, but
Hmm.
I asked Tom. I was like, "How do you feel? How would you feel?" Or did I say how do you feel? No, I said, "Do you think exes can be friends? Like,
Hmm.
would you be okay with me hanging out with an ex of mine and like things like that?" He's like, "It would be a case by case,
Yeah, I think it
right?"
depends on.
It depends. It depends on like how long ago and what happened in the relationship.
Hmm.
And also you have to see what the intent is,
Hmm.
right? Behind hanging out
Yeah.
again.
Hmm.
Like if that person has intentions on like, oh, we're gonna hang out for lunch, that means
Yeah.
maybe there's
Hmm.
trouble in paradise and I can get whatever it is.
Hmm.
Um, but again, at least in my scenario, I would never do that in that way.
Yeah.
Like if I'm hanging out with somebody, it's because I genuinely missed a friendship
Hmm.
and like
Agree.
just to
Uh-huh.
catch up.
Hmm.
It's never going to be like if even in a hypothetical scenario, let's say Tom and I are fighting or whatever it is, the last person that I would want to hang out with and vent to is
Yeah.
an ex of mine. Like
Yeah.
I would call Neil or Giselle or
Yeah.
or tell you like, oh yeah, so we haven't spoken in like 2 days.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's in the living room and I'm on the other couch and the baby's going back and forth. It happens. You're gonna get into arguments and fights.
Yeah.
But no, I wouldn't go to an ex of mine to
Yeah.
vent.
No. No.
That
That's a
I think that's
boundary.
sending because I think that's sending the wrong message. I think
Yeah.
that's telling that person, hey, I'm kind of letting you in on
Yeah.
something
That's
that
opening up to
is
let them in.
private,
Yeah. Hmm.
and it's letting you know that it's not all perfect and that you
Hmm.
may have a chance
Hmm.
to come in.
Hmm.
And so why would I want to do that? That's
Yeah.
not my intention. But let me see. I'm trying to think if there's any. There hasn't been people that I had a full on relationship, but there were
Hmm.
friends that like we kissed
Hmm.
once or
Hmm.
something like that. Like we went on one date and we are like, yeah, no, we're cool as friends.
Like no, that doesn't
Like
work.
let's just go
Yeah.
back to a friendship. Where I'm still friends with them today.
Hmm.
I would feel comfortable hanging out with them now. Like there's nothing there.
Hmm.
I know Tom would be
Because you already
comfortable.
explored that. Oh, yeah. Hmm.
Yeah. Tom would be comfortable with that. Like based on this like what we were talking about
Hmm.
leading up to this topic. But that's what I have to do out of respect for my relationship and my partner, because I it's not just my life at this point. Especially we have kids too. It's not just my life. It's
Yeah.
our lives together. And so we need to all be on the same page about things. And I think that's really what it boils down to.
The biggest takeaway, yeah.
You need to be on the same page about things, because why risk your peace, your home, for something that if you're telling your spouse, like, oh, I'm just hanging out with so-so, it doesn't mean anything. For something that doesn't mean anything to you, or something that doesn't matter, isn't significant. What's significant and is important is your home, your family, that bond. And so don't throw that away. Don't put that at risk. If your spouse or your partner tells you they feel uncomfortable, explore that. Have a conversation and see how you guys can make that work. And if it truly is innocent, and for at least for you, right, because you can't account for somebody else's intentions, establish that. Let it be known, like, this isn't anything more than what it is right now.
Yeah.
And if they have a problem with it, or they let you know from then on, then you have to make that decision out of respect for yourself, your relationship, and your family, that this can't continue. Because again, once they show their cards and they let it be known, like, there's other intentions, I think that's when it falls on you now.
If that person's like, oh, well, your girlfriend's crazy or something, like bashing you, I think there's other intentions there behind the words crazy or she's nuts or whatever, like
unless they have valid points.
I feel like if you start bashing them, like, oh, you're crazy, she's crazy, I would never, but no,
I meant more like, if they're like, no, like, legit, you should try and get it because of whatever. See, I always think of scenarios I've been in where it's like your physical abuse, mental abuse.
Oh, yes.
Things like that.
Of course.
Like, if it's like that, and like that person's telling you, like, no, you need to get out of that. Like, that's a toxic environment, whatever. Those are all valid.
That's different,
things.
Yes.
Yeah, that's different. But if they're just saying all these things just to bash that other person.
Yeah, I think there's something always underlying there.
Yeah.
Yeah, take that into account. Words mean things.
What were you going to say before? You were going to say something and you were like, oh, that's funny, when I was talking about a scenario.
Oh, funny story.
Yeah.
All right. So, because I see we got over an hour now. So I'm just going to make it quick.
Real quick.
Vic was on the train and he tells me this, I think the day after. Because I don't really see him that often. Only in the mornings or in the afternoons if he comes home early. He's like, babe, the funniest thing happened to me. He was like, I'm walking in and I see this lady and she's sitting there and she's looking at me and she's looking at me. But he's like, I don't think anything of it because whatever. I'm walking into a train that's full already to sit down.
Yeah.
He was like, but she started going out of her way to try to get my attention. And he's like, because he has his headphones on, he's working. He's like, whatever. Yeah. He sees her flagging him down. Like
flagging him down.
Yeah, like with her hands and stuff. Like she's like real fucking antsy. And he's like, he does takes on one head like earpiece and he's like, yes. I can picture him. You're like, yes. And she's like, I just wanted to let you know you're so handsome. And when I saw you got on the train. Yeah. And when I saw you got on the train, I was just like, oh my God, I have to talk to him. And he was like, okay, thanks. And puts on the headsets and just like goes back to working. And he's like, babe, I don't know what she wanted. Like, honestly, he was like, I didn't know what to even say to that. That I just put on my thing. I just started working again. And he's like, it's so stupid because he's like that when he turned on his whatever it is, this computer, laptop.
Yeah.
There's a big ass picture of me and the kids on the thing. And he's like she didn't see that. She was flagging me down the whole time.
So she was next to him, like where?
So there's like the way it is. It's there's seats that go like this, and then there's long seats along the side. So he was sitting in one of these, and she was on like a long seat, like
so she could see his computer screen.
Yeah, perpendicular.
Okay,
yeah,
got you.
And he was like he was like, I don't know what she was expecting, but I was just like, okay, thanks, and just put on my headphones and went back to work. And he was like, I hope I never see her again. Because it's a late train. It was like he takes the 10:07 train, like a really late train. And he gets home to like midnight. So he's like, I don't want to see that again. She must have been drunk. He was just like, there's something wrong with people.
Yeah. I mean, also, did she not see like his wedding band? I mean,
And
well, she could
and
have.
it's dark, it's black. He was like, that's why I got a black one, because I want people to see it. It's on my finger.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I'm like, people don't care. I was like, you could be, I was like, people of the same sex get married now. And I'm like, people like just don't care. They're just trying to get with whatever they can. You
Yeah.
don't know.
Some people don't care about. Some people are actually more attracted to that.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think there was an actual study
Mm-hmm.
that it showed that men with wedding bands get hit on more.
Mm-hmm.
Like on like a statistics, I'll try and find it, but they get hit on more frequently than men without. And I think it's because, from what I gathered from the article, is because evolutionary speaking, like it shows a partner, like a potential partner,
Okay. Mm-hmm.
that they are capable of of building a family and trust and settling down and all these things. So it's exuding like attractive qualities.
Okay.
Like, oh, you found somebody that will basically like get married to you and like sign up this thing. So what qualities do you have? Because it must be good. And so I feel like that's what it is. Some
He
people
was just
don't
like the
care.
most awkward train ride ever. He was like, I was dying to get him off.
Did she just sit back down into her seat?
Mm-hmm.
That's awkward.
And she was there the whole time. And he was like, I don't know where she got off, but she wasn't there when I got up, is what he said.
He did not care. He
was just like, I want to get home. Like, just, what is this?
Yeah, but she could have. Let's play. Give her the benefit of the doubt, even though I know you want to stab her and you want to shoot daggers at her. But
because I know he's so oblivious that I'm just like, whatever. He probably would have been like, no thanks, bye.
Yeah. She probably, you never know. She probably was having a day where she felt real comfortable and real happy with herself and confident.
Good for her.
She was like, I'm gonna shoot my shot. She probably didn't notice the ring. Let's give her the benefit of the doubt, right? And she was like, I'm just gonna shoot my shot because I've never seen this guy on this train before and whatever. So in that scenario, from a flip side, from her perspective, I think that's a good trait to have if you don't know that they're married and whatever, because you're shooting your shot, right? But I think it, like, let's say if he would have been like, oh, like I'm married or whatever, right? And like actually engaged in that way. And she would have been like, oh, like my bad, whatever. That's a different story, right? I think, I don't know. I think that's hilarious that he just like did not even entertain it in any way at all.
He was like,
all right, thanks. I feel like probably Tom. I'm gonna ask Tom.
Yeah,
what
that'd
would
be
he
funny.
say? What would be his response to that? I don't know. I can imagine a couple responses, but again, if like he would be like, I'm married, and they'd be like, I know, he would legit be like, get the fuck away from me. Like, he would respond in that aggressive way, like, because now you're just disrespecting me and my family, and that's the way that he views it too, you know. But yeah, I don't know. If you're gonna shoot your shot to single people out there, you want to shoot your shot. Or if you're in a polyamorous and an open relationship, if you're gonna shoot your shot, just, you know, be mindful of boundaries. Ask about boundaries, maybe. But yeah, we kind of went into a couple different things.
I know, always.
But it works. It all ties in. But yes, the takeaway I forgot. I know I said it before.
I mean,
listen
and I know
to your spouse.
Yes, and I know we say this every episode basically now, and people are probably like, so tired of hearing it. But communication is the key. You got to talk it out, because otherwise they don't know what you're thinking.
Reminders of that.
Yeah,
I don't think it's said enough. We need so many reminders of it, because if not, like,
you want to be proactive in your relationship. I keep saying this, proactive, because if you are reactive, it's never good.
Yeah,
you can't react to a situation. Never good.
Tom laughs all the time because I'll give him hypothetical scenarios and like, what if blah 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 blah. He's like, Giselle, that's not gonna happen. I was like, yeah, but I want to know how you would tackle the situation.
Yeah, because you want to understand.
And then I'll flip it and then I'll make it super extreme. And then he's like, all right, now you're being ridiculous. But you do want to know these things. There are certain questions and certain things that you do want to have with your partner, even before marriage.
That's what I'm saying.
Kids.
Like, I was about to say, You want to have this all clear when you start a relationship. I mean, it might be late for some of us, but it's good to have these conversations just so you understand where they're coming from.
There's always an out if you don't, if you realize that this isn't the place for you.
Yes.
You know?
Yes. I said it's too late for us.
Oh. well, there's still always an out, or there's, we can work on things if both people are willing to work at it. So, but no, communicate and listen, be empathetic. And even if you don't necessarily see or agree with whatever points the other person has, try to understand where they're coming from. Whether it's, like me, like early on, I had my trust issues and all that stuff or whatever. Try to understand where it's really stemming from, and then work together. If that person's willing to work on it,
yes, don't let them gaslight you, please.
Yeah, work together and try and see how you guys can figure it out. Because if it's worth it, both of you guys will be willing to. Yeah. But anyway, it's been determined. So exes, it's a case by case, right? Can't be friends, but it's a case by case. And just be respectful of your boundaries and your spouse's boundaries. Yeah. When it comes to outside people, right? Interfering with that. But anyway, thank you guys for listening. If you guys have any comments, feedback, or if you dealt with this before and had a different take on it, please share. You guys can always email us or DM us on Instagram at what's new mama podcast at gmail.com. That's the email, and then the handle is what's new mama podcast. And
don't forget, you're doing a good job.
Yeah, there we go. Thank you guys. Have a great day and see you next time. Bye.